Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the only digital sanctuary where we dismantle the glittering facade of celebrity culture to uncover the raw, beating heart hidden beneath the velvet ropes. We are not here to skim the surface of headlines, we are here to dive into the deep end of humanity. Today, we are embarking on a journey that is as fragile as it is powerful, stepping through a door that Demet Özdemir has bravely unlocked for us. A narrative woven with threads of vulnerability, profound resilience, and the difficult architecture of healing. Before we descend into this emotional landscape, I need you to solidify your place in our growing family. Please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a moment of truth. And for those of you who believe in journalism that honors the soul rather than hunting for cheap clicks, I implore you to click the join button. Your membership is the lifeblood of this channel. It allows us to craft stories that matter, stories that breathe. Now take a deep, centering breath with me. Let us step into Demet's world. The revelation did not arrive with the fanfare of a press release or the curated perfection of an Instagram caption. Rather, it began with a sentence spoken without a tremor, yet laden with the heavy sediment of memories her expressive eyes could no longer conceal. I eat for emotions. When the tide rises inside me, I find a plate and hold on. This was not a rehearsed soundbite designed for the glossy pages of a fashion magazine. It was a confession, stark, unadorned, and piercingly human. With those few words, Demet Özdemir did not merely initiate a conversation. She reached across the digital divide and touched the spirit of every single person who has ever sought to soothe a private ache with the familiarity of a specific taste. She opened the vault on 2022. A year that she describes not as a calendar of days, but as an era that carved something sharp and painful into her spirit, and revealed how her latest project, The Eighth Family, became the crucible in which she learned to transmute those sharp edges into something enduring and steady. To the casual observer looking in from the outside, 2022 might have appeared as a dazzling montage of triumphs. A kaleidoscope of polished photographs, breathless red carpet headlines, and calendars bursting with high-profile premieres. However, we must remember that the brightest lights often cast the longest, most freezing shadows. When her highly anticipated period drama launched on a global streaming platform, the initial wave of applause was swiftly and brutally overtaken by a tsunami of critique. The commentary was not merely critical. It was ruthless, often theatrical in its cruelty, written by anonymous fingers that seemed to forget a living, breathing human being sat on the other side of the screen absorbing every word. Some critics dismissed her performance as mannered and artificial, others claimed the magnitude of the series swallowed her whole. The loudest voices sought to define her limitations, and for a terrifying, vertigo-inducing moment, Demet felt her grip on her own reality beginning to slip. She recalls a specific afternoon where the room seemed to tilt on its axis, and the simple, autonomic act of breathing became a conscious, labored decision. In the throes of that psychological vertigo, a sentence offered by her therapist took root in her mind, eventually becoming a lifeline she refused to let go of. It's difficult, but it's real. We will have hope, we will be brave, we will give it time, and we will be patient. Demet repeats this mantra now like a small, sacred prayer. Stripped of performance, devoid of pretension. These words possessed no magical ability to erase the noise of the world, but they gave her pain a name and a shape. They validated the essential truth that her suffering was not a performance for the gallery. It was real, it was valid, and it simply required the passage of time to metabolize. She learned the excruciatingly difficult art of sitting beside her pain rather than attempting to drown beneath it, transforming the work of healing from a violent battle into a long, deliberate, and quiet walk. There is a profound, almost heartbreaking softness in her voice when she speaks of food during this period, not framing it as a vice or a failure of discipline, but as an anchor in a storm. She describes the olfactory embrace of a simple dish, the first bite of something intrinsically linked to memories of safety, the metallic clink of a spoon against a bowl marking a brief pause in the chaos of her mind. For Demet, the act of eating is not a mechanism of escape, it is a method of arriving back at herself. It is a return to a body that works tirelessly and a spirit that refuses to break under pressure. During the weeks when the online swarm was most vicious. When she went from being the nation's sweetheart to a trending topic worded like a judicial verdict, she made a conscious choice to stop scrolling and start cooking. A simmering pot, she realized, was infinitely quieter and more honest than a glowing screen. She learned the rhythm of timing in the kitchen, knowing when to stir, when to step back, and crucially, when to let something rest, a lesson she began to apply to her own soul. Let's pause right here, whatever you need, family. Demet's raw honesty about emotional eating is an act of incredible bravery in an industry that is obsessively fixated on physical perfection. It begs the question, have you ever found comfort in a specific meal when the noise of life became too loud to bear? I want to know your stories. Share your comfort foods and the memories attached to them in the comments section below. Let's cultivate this channel as a safe space for everyone to be vulnerable. And if this story of resilience is resonating with your own experiences, please hit the like button to help the algorithm spread this message of compassion to others who might need to hear it. Now, if one talks long enough about the trajectory of Demet's life, the name Yaman inevitably rises to the surface. But let us be clear, this is not about tawdry gossip or romantic speculation. It is about a gravitational pull between two professionals that needs no embellishment. Throughout the trials of 2022, comparisons to their past on-screen magic followed her everywhere, often weaponized by critics as a tool to dismantle her current work. But off-screen, away from the prying eyes of the paparazzi, Ken became something far steadier than mere electricity. He approached her not just as a former co-star or a handsome face, but as a fellow professional who deeply respects the craft, and as a friend who knows how to hold space without occupying it. He reminded her, without a trace of sentimentality, that she possessed the agency to set the tone for her own narrative. When she felt herself slipping into the hollow, digital version of herself that the internet was constructing, she would call him. He would steer the conversation back to solid, tangible ground. What did the scene require? What did the emotional arc of the story demand? What part of her soul did she want to protect from the public gaze? He offered her perspective, not permission. It was not a fairy tale of rescue. It was the arduous work of two people who know the high cost of being watched, helping each other survive the relentless glare of the spotlight. This internal excavation and reconstruction manifested visibly on the set of The Eighth Family. The crew began to notice a shift, a quiet fire replacing the frantic anxiety. She was no longer frozen by the fear of criticism. She was measured, confident, and noticeably lighter in spirit. She stopped carrying the imaginary jury of social media into every scene she filmed. She could laugh freely between takes, lift a partner's spirits with a genuine smile, and then sink back into the dramatic requirements of the story with intense, unwavering focus. When a take ended, she didn't rush to her phone to check public opinion. She checked in with her director, and more importantly, with herself. It was not performative kindness designed for behind-the-scenes footage, it was the disciplined practice of gratitude. Demet admits with candid openness that there were days when reality bent out of shape, times when she found herself measuring her self-worth by the sentences typed by strangers she would never meet. But somewhere within that crushing pressure, she began to practice patience like a fine art. She traded the exhausting need to win every argument for the biological necessity of sleeping at night. She established rituals that served as boundaries: a quiet meal consumed in the fading evening light, a silly comedy watched on a couch to cleanse the palate of drama, and long, philosophical conversations with Ken about where the public persona ends and the human being begins. The outside world remained as loud and chaotic as ever, but her internal world began to hum with a newfound harmony. So here we stand, at the precipice of a new era, witnessing the end of a painful chapter and the dawn of a brighter one. The Eighth Family is not merely a television series to be consumed and forgotten. It is the signal flare of a woman who learned the profound importance of staying. To stay with her craft despite the mockery, to stay with her truth despite the lies, and to stay with herself when the crowd turned its back. And she did not traverse this desert alone. She did it with help, with the passage of time, with the practice of patience, and yes, with a fork and a favorite dish when the night grew too long and the shadows too deep. Her confession regarding emotional eating is not a quirky headline to be scrolled past. It is a universal human truth. Sometimes a bowl of something warm does not solve the geopolitical problems of the world or the complexities of a career. but it makes the act of surviving tonight possible. And as Demet has shown us, there is absolutely no shame in that survival. Thank you for walking this emotional journey with us today on Whatever You Need. We hope this deep dive into Demet Özdemir's resilience has offered you a new perspective on the people behind the pixels. If Demet's bravery in speaking her truth touched something within you, please share this video across your social media platforms. The world needs more empathy and less judgment. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and if you can, hit join to support the kind of honest storytelling that you just watched. We cannot do this without you. Until next time, remember to be as kind to yourselves as you are to others. Whatever you need, we are here.